Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to braze. Now, it's pretty simple. All you need is oxygen, a acetylene torch, a brass rod, and you're ready to go. Years ago, most repairs are done with brazing. Just a torch and a brass rod, and it was the way to go before MIG welders come out. Now, you can't use brazing rods on today's newer cars. Everything has to be MIG weld. If you got an old classic you're working on, you're restoring a car, your own car, it doesn't really matter. It works good. So let me show you some of the equipment we're going to use. The biggest expense is the oxygen, acetylene tanks, and regulators. But once you have a set, you'll find 1,000,001 uses for them, from cutting metal to heating stuff up and bending it. They are handy. I've had mine for almost 50 years, and they get a lot of use. And for brazing, you want a small tip. This one has a number 0 on it, but usually 0, maybe up to a 2, but you want a nice fine tip. You want to keep your heat effect zone as small as possible. You got a brass rod here. It's 1/8" brass, and this is already flux coated. These things will get beat up from laying around. If the flux is off of it, which is this white powdery substance, trim it back, get a spot where it's got flux. If you don't have that flux on there, it's not going to braze good. Just got a pair of these welding glasses here. These are for using a cutting torch, brazing, soldering. I'm going to turn the tanks on and we'll get a flame going. I'll show you how to adjust the flame. I'm going to turn the acetylene on first. And we want a little bit of carbon coming off the end of that flame. Open up the oxygen. And we want this flame to be a nice tip like that. Now you can see we cut the oxygen back a little bit and it gets longer. There's like a hot spot of the flame and then that long tail on it. You just want to bring that tail back till it evens out. You don't want to go too far with it. You'll end up with an oxidized flame, which is, you can hear it there. It's got too much oxygen. So that's what we're looking for right there. Now, brazing is different than welding. When you braze something together, it's just a bond. It's just going to stick on both these panels. It'll creep in between a little bit, but it just bonds to it. Whereas a weld is going to burn in and it's going to fuse the two panels together. I'm going to start with just this overlap here. It's an old test panel. And I'm going to braze across this seam. You want to get the metal hot before you put the brass in there. And we're going to work this into a circle. Just keep it going. And you want to heat the bottom panel first. You want to work your heat from the bottom up. We're going to start heating this up. When it turns red, and we can put our rod in there, you can actually flow that brass rod. It'll puddle in there. We'll just keep it moving. Okay, let me light the torch, and I'll do a short area right here. Okay, that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. Like anything, it takes a little practice. And that flowed in there pretty nice. It doesn't take a whole lot of grinding. Brass grinds pretty easy, so a little bit of cleanup time before you bondo. And you can see the heat effect zone there. So the smaller you can get your tip and get the brass to flow, the better. And you can play with the tip to fine tune a little bit, but that's all it takes. Next, I'll show you how we used to plug weld with brass. Okay, this is similar to plug welding with the MIG welder. We got some holes punched in here, 1/4" holes. I want to heat the bottom panel first, get some heat in there. Once it turns red, I can put the brass rod to it. Okay, that's all there is to it. Okay, next, I got a couple panels here. This is like a rocker panel, and just an overlap. I've got it clamped pretty tight, so I'm going to braze this whole thing up top to bottom. And you can flow this brass uphill, downhill, whatever you want to do. This stuff grinds a lot easier than MIG welds, and this stuff does flow in the corners real nice. A lot easier than trying to get a MIG welder into some of these places. Okay, it takes a little bit of practice, but this is something you can pick up pretty quick. The biggest problem I have with brazing as opposed to MIG welding, my welding helmets have a magnifying lens in them, and as I've gotten older, it's tough to see. And these don't have a magnifying lens in them. Patch panels, cab corners, rockers, this stuff is nice to flow in. It grinds easier. So like I said, brass isn't recommended on newer cars. And this was the standard for years and years, was brazing stuff together. I still enjoy doing it. It's kind of fun to do. If you're into restoration, you haven't done this, give it a try. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. Thanks for watching.